F chords are very common when you're learning to play guitar. Some people shy away from songs that contain Fs because they think it will involve playing a bar chord. There's a common thought that Fs are difficult. Well, they don't have to be, and they don't have to be a bar chord. Today we'll be exploring the versatility of the F chord and exploring some of the variations you have available to you around the neck, ranging from easy to difficult. The idea is that you're aware of what options you have available to you when you're looking for an F chord and what each different position and inversion will bring to the table. We'll be starting in position 1, which means the first variations will be focused on the first 3 frets. This is where most people will stay. We have the lower register here, so there's a fuller, richer sound. The chord is more accessible if you're strumming other open chords in a song, like your Cs and your Gs, your Fs right there. It's the logical F to go for with the same resonance and within the same register. I'm going to start with a traditional F chord. It's not the easiest one, but it is the most common one. Now for this chord, we place our first finger across the first 2 frets of the B string and the E string. We place our middle finger, 2nd fret G, and 3rd finger, 3rd fret D. It's a 4-string chord. The challenge of this chord is that we have to hold our first finger flat, slightly to one side, across the first 2 strings. This is the bit that usually becomes the challenge for people. So what I can say for that is just make sure, if you see that your finger is slipping away from the fret, the optimum place you can have your finger to succeed here is right next to the fret. And the other thing is the thumb placement at the back. So try and keep your thumb lower down. It will help to keep your fingers nice and rounded at the front and nice and open. The next variation you'll see is a simplified version of this, which often people will do. You can incorporate this into songs in much the same way you can do an F, and most of the time it'll work. This involves just putting the 3rd finger 3rd fret D, the middle finger 2nd fret G, the 1st finger 1st fret B, and leaving the high E string open. This is a 4-string chord. This is technically an F major 7, but if it helps you on your journey to playing fuller Fs, then this is the one for you, and it's a good place to start. The next F we have is my favourite for beginner strumming to get a fuller, richer sound when you're not yet capable of playing the bar chord. It gives us the lower register by playing the A string and the D string. So if you wanted to do a nice big strummy song, play this one. So we have the 3rd finger 3rd fret A, pinky 3rd fret D, middle finger 2nd fret G, 1st finger 1st fret B. We can play the middle 4 strings, and if we're feeling confident, can take that 1st finger and flatten it as we just previously did across the B and the E strings to make this a 5-string chord. It gives us a richer sound. So the more strings you're playing in a chord and the more lower bass strings you're incorporating, the richer sound you're going to get. The next variation we have is the power chord. This is the top 3 strings here, or the bottom 3 strings. We'll be playing the low E string 1st fret, the 3rd fret A string, and the 3rd fret D string. We only want to strum those top 3 strings there, the lowest 3 strings. This gives us a nice bassy sound. You'll hear this chord often in more rocky music, but if you want to get a nice low bass sounding F and you can't quite do the bar chord yet, sometimes this is the way to go, the F power chord. So far, those chords are the easier versions of the F. So if you're trying to strum along and you're not quite ready to bar, there's a few different versions for you there. I'm going to move on now and play the bar chord F in the 1st position on the 1st fret. Now this is a 6-string chord, and what we're getting here is a very full sounding chord. We've got the 1st finger 1st fret E string, 3rd finger 3rd fret A, pinky 3rd fret D, middle finger 2nd fret G, and the 1st finger here now flattens across the B and the E strings on the bottom. So that first finger there will be playing the E, the low E, and also playing the B and the E there. So that's why it's called the bar chord, because we're barring our finger across the 6 strings. Now that finger only really needs to play the low E and the high 2 strings there. The other 3 fingers are taking care of the other strings in between. This chord is worth practicing if you're going to be playing guitar a little bit more often and you've got time to spend getting used to the practice. If you have joint issues, mobility issues, not as much strength, it will be challenging. So it's good to find a slightly easier variation. But if you're really wanting to get stuck into the nitty-gritty of guitar playing, it's great to have this at your disposal. To recap over the Fs in position 1, we have the traditional F, the slightly easier F major 7, the middle 4 strings F, which is technically an F/C or an F over C. We can also bar the first finger to make it a 5-string chord. We have the power chord on the top 3 strings or low 3 strings, and we have the full 6-string bar chord. On looking a little bit closer at this bar chord here, it's actually a combination of all of the other smaller F chords. So we've got the power chord at the top, as you can see. We've got the F over C here in the middle, and we've got the traditional F here at the bottom. Now moving on up to the next position, we're going to move to frets 5 and 6. That gives us a middle range of the guitar fretboard here. This gives us a fairly straightforward F to play. And this is this one here on the G, B and E strings. As you can see, if you've been playing guitar for a bit so far, you'll recognise that chord shape as a D chord, but in a different place. So we play the D here, and if we move it up 1, 2, 3 frets to 5 and 6, it becomes an F major chord. This is quite a simple F to do, so if you're struggling with any of the others, try this one. One thing to note, when you're playing this F here, you only want to be strumming the G, B and E strings if you want to get a pure F major. Now this is a triad because it contains 3 notes. Moving on to the next position, we are on fret 8 on the E string, fret 10 on the B string and fret 10 on the G string. This gives us another F. If we move on to frets 10, 10, 10 on the D, G and B strings, that also gives us an F. As you can see, the resemblance here in the chord shape, that is actually the same shape as the A major chord, but we're playing it on the 10th fret. That gives us an F. We also have our next power chord here. So fret 8 on the A string, fret 10 on the D and fret 10 on the G. Just those 3 strings, F power chord. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, there's a bar chord here too, starting on the A string. This gives us a 5-string bar chord. This is an F bar chord. So we have the first finger, 8th fret A string, middle finger, 10th fret D string, 3rd finger, 10th fret G string, pinky, 10th fret B string, and then the first finger will bar that 8th fret and play the E string, the high E string. It's a little bit of a tricky shape to get into when you're first learning, but it is possible with a bit of practice for most people. Some people play it like this. That won't help you get to the E string, the high E string, so just focus on the middle 4 strings. As you can see, like the previous bar chord, this bar chord shape is a combination of the three shapes I've just shown you in this position. So we have the power chord, the triad, and the triad. So I've got 2 exercises for you now to help remember these shapes and get used to the patterns. The first exercise is take the chords we've just learned and play them in that order. This will help you to develop the language of those chord shapes around the neck and just start to associate them together. The next exercise is to take a chord progression you're familiar with that contains an F, and each time you play an F, switch it out for another version. So if we do, for example, C, F, G, the next time I might do C, F, G. I might then do C, F, G, and then I might do this. And what that does is give you an understanding of what the different Fs and the different positions bring to the table. What's the resonance like? How full do they sound? Because we know the bar chord sounds full, sounds rich. We've got 6 strings, but it's a very different sounding F than this triad. But this triad's a lovely sounding triad. You might use that for something a little bit more jangly sounding, or to arpeggiate. Or if you're playing in a band, play that F, it'll cut through the music much more. So the higher, thinner strings aren't as big, but they'll pierce through a bit more. It's important when you're first learning to have accessible chords that meet you at your ability. It's not worth missing songs out because you can't play an F. Just incorporate an F that you can do. And then if you find you've got hold of that, then make it more difficult. Try a more difficult F and see where you get to. If you're wanting to go on to master guitar and you're hugely dedicated, then you want to be learning all these Fs. There are more Fs on the fretboard than I've covered today, so you want to be learning where all those Fs are, what they bring to the table, what notes they're made up of, what inversions they are, what an inversion is. So there's lots of information in there to go from. So the amount of time you would put into practicing these chords and the difficulty level you're willing to go up to is utterly dependent on how much time you have available to you and what your goals are with guitar. If you're just looking to play around, strum a few songs and just get that something that's enjoyable and fun, then you maybe don't need to worry about learning bar chords. You might actually find it easy, so you do that anyway, but it's really not, you don't have to learn everything. Whereas if you're learning and you want to go into maybe being a professional musician, then you need to know everything. You would need to know all that stuff. This lesson on volume control will help you to take the chords you've learned today and learn about dynamics, learning to strum quiet, loud, from quiet to loud, weaving in depth, emotion, and some good energy for the music that you're about to play. See you next time.